Hey everybody, this is WFMU East Orange, WXHD Mount Hope, worldwide on the World Wide Web at WFMU, and you are listening to the best show on WFMU here from 8 until 11 every Tuesday night. Stay tuned for the best show on WFMU.
WFMU. The best show. WFMU. The best show. WFMU. The best show. WFMU. The best show. WFMU.
Just some other time, you can just leave me alone and be a real good friend of mine. Come back tomorrow, or just some other time, you can just leave me alone and be a real good friend of mine. Ruminous flame, I wish you were just like luminous flame. Why can't you be just like luminous flame? I want you to be just like luminous flame. I thought you were just like there's no romance in suicide, just pain and blood on the floor. There ain't no savior, just a starting little whore. Now she's laying in a different bed. This one's 6 foot deep. You ask me a bastard's dream. I don't know, 'cause I don't sleep.
Ho, ho, ho. Hey, everybody. You're listening to the best show on WFMU, brought to you each and every Tuesday night from 8 p.m. until 11 p.m. Only here on WFMU. The place where it all goes down. My name is Tom Scharpling. I'm going to be your host for the program tonight. I'm actually here every Tuesday night. I don't have the best show on WFMU. I just host it. That's how it works. The phone number is 201-200-9368. That's 201-200-WFMU. And the email address, toms@wfmu.org. And just so you know, the phones are open, wide open tonight, because it is Open Phone Tuesday. And the email, toms@wfmu.org. You write it, I read it. It hits me instantaneously. You hear this? Here? That's the computer screen. I'm looking at it right now. So this is a fully interactive, very, very 21st century type of program. In the old days, if you had a question, you would have had to have written me a letter, which you would have had to have walked to the post office, dropped into a mailbox, have delivered here to the station, wait for me to read it, write back, mail it, the answer to you. But now it's all within a matter of seconds. Hey, the music that we heard. Radio Birdman, from a collection put out by the people at Sub Pop, entitled The Essential Radio Birdman 19... Radio Birdman 19... Why did I say Birdmen? It's The Essential Radio Birdman 1974 to 78 on Sub Pop. The song was Descent into the Maelstrom. Before that, I wonder if anybody can guess the record I played before that. Was 1980s Rock and Roll was the name of the record. If anybody knows the artist, 201-200-9368. I wonder if anybody knows who this is. I'm going to put it back on. Because I don't think... you know the name of the person. You know his name. He's a very...
Rock and roll. 1980s rock and roll. Another decade is coming through. Another 10 years in front of you.
Does anybody know who that is?
Keep on playing rock and roll. 1980s rock and roll.
201-200-9368. Let's get some guesses. This person, I'll give you a hint. Their music became tougher, more difficult, more aggressive. Come on, people. Do you know who it is? The answer will shock you. Well, I'm going to keep the phones open if somebody knows who this is. Maybe I'll throw a pair of tickets your way or something. Who knows? Oh, now here go the phones. The magic word. The magic T word. FMU, you're on the air. WFMU are on the air. No, you're not. FMU, you're on the air.
It sounds like the guy from the Flaming Lips.
No.
Blimey. Got any more hints for me?
Much tougher. The music became much, much tougher. I mean, what do you think of this song?
Sounds pretty frilly.
Uh-huh. You would never have said that to this person's face.
Really? What is it, the Dwarves?
No. All right, nice try.
All right.
201-200-9368. Who is this? WFMU, you're on the air.
Ministry.
Ministry? No.
Okay.
Nice guess, though.
All right, bye-bye.
Tougher. Scarier than Ministry. You should be shocked. Here's another clue. You should be shocked that this person is who it is. Your jaw should drop. (201-200-9368). Who is this mystery artist? WFMU, you're on the air.
Hey, Marilyn Manson?
No, but you're closer.
I mean, he's definitely not tough,
But you're closer in terms of, like, the individuality of Marilyn Manson.
Right.
Okay,
my next
nice guess, though. No, one guess each. Sorry, I'm sorry. 201-200-9368. Do you know who the mystery artist is? FMU, you're on the air.
Hi, is this Joey Ramone?
No, it's not Joey Ramone. Nice guess, though.
Okay.
Further off, though. This person struck fear into the hearts of people. WFMU, you're on the air.
Hey, Wayne County?
No, it's not Wayne County. Nice guess, though. WFMU, you're on the air.
How about Trent Reznor?
No, you're getting, it's legitimately scary, but nice guess. Thanks.
Okay, thanks.
People guess the mystery artist. WFMU, you're on the air.
Yeah, it's either going to be somebody like David Johansen or Iggy Pop or somebody off the wall like that.
No, you're off base.
You know who else had the vocal in the
I
bottom?
can't say. I did it. One guess each. Sorry. WFMU, you're on the air.
Is it Rob Zombie?
No, it's not Rob Zombie. You're closer though in terms of the scene that this person played the scene the same time Rob Zombie did. WFMU, you're on the air.
Ozzy Osbourne?
Ozzy Osbourne? No, now you're way off base. This person is American, if that's any kind of clue. WFMU, you're on the air.
Alice Cooper?
You're too old with Alice Cooper, but this person probably liked Alice Cooper when they were young. WFMU, you're on the air.
Yeah, is it G.G. Allen?
Yes, it is. It's G.G. Allen. This is called 1980s Rock and Roll by G.G. Allen. It was a, let's get the date on this. It was a 7-inch that G.G. Allen recorded I
Yeah,
don't.
It's on a CD too, I think.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm just not. That's what I said. I'm playing it off of a G.G. Allen singles collection.
Huh.
So, are you a big G.G. Allen fan?
No, not at all.
But you got to admit that this doesn't sound like G.G. Allen.
No, it doesn't. You're right.
I mean, do you
Sounds
usually
more like someone that was mentioned earlier.
you usually think keyboards?
Like Iggy or the Ramones or something.
But listen to those like keyboards. Like usually don't picture like G.G. Allen with some guy, banging out the old piano.
Right.
Now, hey, maybe call back later. I recognize your voice. Maybe I'll give you a pair of tickets or something. Call back when I play music, if you want tickets. That is.
Okay.
Okay.
You'll tell me then what tickets what to.
Yeah, we'll work something out.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. Later.
Bye. WFMU, you're on the air. FMU are not on the air. Get it? WFMU are not on the air. Like the word "you." That was exciting. Everybody trying to guess the mystery artist. The G.G. Allen experience. Kevin Allen doing his thing. Hey, before that G.G. Allen record, we heard the band Ocean Color Scene with a song called 100 Mile High City. And that is taken off of the soundtrack for the movie Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. And starting us off, Children's Crusade, a band out of the Cleveland scene. 1985. It actually was released well after it was recorded. It was recorded in 85. Released in the early 90s by Scat Records. And Children's Crusade consists of Doug Gillard, who went on to be in other bands, and Fraser Sims, who did the same. And the song was called Blue Venus Aflame from Children's Crusade. Hey, if I didn't mention it, the phone number, 201-200-9368. People are guessing here on the computer. The guess is coming in a second or two after the fact. Larry in Portland guessing that it's Frank Zappa. Incorrect, Larry. Sorry. Somebody guessing, is it Ministry? No, it's not Ministry. And then Jim guessing, too late though, that it was G.G. Allen. Nice guess, everybody. Thanks for playing the game. That's a new segment on the show. It's called The Guessing Game. Guess who the artist is. It's a segment you'll hear very, 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 very infrequently on the program. So last week's show was all about the message board, the WFMU message board, and the chowderheads who usurped it, using it to as a forum for criticizing other DJs, and I have to say, last week's show was one of the uglier shows in terms of actual listenability that I've done, maybe ever. But I'm glad I did the show, and the end result was I received an email from Petey, the guy who posts all the those awesome short stories on the website. And he emailed me to say that he will be back. He is going to attack the message board yet again. So remember, he's a young boy who is he's very, very young and very, very stupid. and he's very, very lonely. So when you read his posts on the WFMU message board, which can be reached, by the way, by going to WFMU.org and clicking on message board. Somebody just posted on the message board. The message board is calling. We're on the air. The best listeners are listening, and I am watching as the best show on WFMU monitor. I'm slightly confused by that, but... So anyway, we vanquished the guy Jasper Yoinks, or Jasper Yoinks. He emailed me, completely pathetic, trying to involve me. This will be like a postscript for last week's show. He emailed me trying to claim that his attacking posts were part of some game, and that he's someone who's closer to the station than perhaps you may have thought originally. And he said, guess who I am? My music was played on the station last Wednesday. Look at the playlist and figure it out. I'm not playing any guessing games, you chump. Good riddance to bad trash. How dare you? So, that ends that. Hey, next week is going to be a very exciting program. It's the... Did you ever watch the show Bands on the Run? Has anybody watched that show on VH1 where it's like it's a reality show, but it's like a rock reality show with 4 bands on the, and they had to see who would succeed of the 4 bands. They would go from city to city. And it really, I have to say, of all the reality shows that have been on over the last few years, this is the only one that truly captured my interest and was legitimately entertaining. It's on VH1. I'm sure VH1 is going to start rerunning it. But anyway, next week, we're going to have a couple guests on who are involved in the show Bands on the Run. Like, we're going to have on the producer of the show, Dan Cutforth, will be on the show, talking about the behind-the-scenes aspect of the program. And we're also going to have on Beastie, the guy who was the co-vocalist / mouthpiece of the band Soulcracker, who is very exciting because he will be also on the program answering questions about what it was like being on a reality show. So it's very exciting, and that's next week on the best show on WFMU. That will be next week. What is that? The 24th, I believe. July 24th. We will have a special show highlighting the program Bands on the Run. But tonight, it's going to be pretty mellow tonight. It's open phones, obviously. I will take your call if you I'd like to know what people thought of the show Bands on the Run. If there's anybody out there who was a real fan of it, you can give a call at 201-200-9368. But tonight we have, I think at the 9 o'clock hour, we should have a guest returning to the program who was on once or twice actually. His name is Brad Lester. He's I guess a former segment producer for the Tonight Show with Jay Leno. And At the time he was on, he was working on a book about the experience of being behind the scenes at the Tonight Show, and we had disagreements over whether his book was fascinating enough for people to actually buy. So we are having him back on the show sometime in the next hour. The phone number, 201-200-9368. The email, toms@wfmu.org. Why don't we get back to the music? Here is something from Robert Pollard on WFMU.
Some things get overlooked, but when they're gone, makes you aware they've been there all along. An exploration from years gone by dissolves into forces on which you rely. Electricity. I've only this torch beside me for company tonight. There's something wrong with the power supply. We haven't got any lights. We haven't got any heat. We haven't got any power. They won't be back till tomorrow, they said. It'll take them a couple of hours. Electricity.
It's not that you're wrong, it's just that I'm right. I don't want to be tied down every right next door, and he has nothing to say. It doesn't seem like he does anything, never helps out in the yard. Lets his mother carry groceries, cause he doesn't like working hard. The boy next door is into better things, as far as I can see. The boy next door is into bigger things, the boy next door is me, alright. He's not like the boys that we used to have, not like them at all. Oh no, the old ones made their parents proud. This one beats them all. The boy next door is into better things, as far as I can see. The boy next door is into bigger things. The boy next door is me, yeah.
All right, hey, you're listening to the best show on WFMU. My name is Tom Scharpling, here with you until 11 o'clock. The phone number, 201-200-9368. Email thomas@wfmu.org. And we just heard from the Feelies from their debut album, Crazy Rhythms, from way back when. What was that, 1980? We heard The Boy with the Perpetual Nervousness. Before that, the Zombies from a great collection called the Singles Collection. On the Big Beat label, we heard Indication. Good stuff from them. Going out by request, some Peter Jeffries. The song Electricity from the album of the same name. And starting us off, Robert Pollard from the first volume in the Fading Captain series, which is the series collecting all of his side things and what Nazis. We heard Submarine Teams from the album Kid Marine, which is on the Rockathon record label. When I said what Nazis, I mean he has no affiliation with, not the word Nazi, but you follow it. WFMU, you're on the air.
Yeah, man, it's Brad Lester calling. Hey, Tom.
Hey, how are you? Hey, by the way, this is WFMU East Orange, WXHD Mount Hope worldwide, on the internet at WFMU.org. Now, Brad, you were a guest. Thanks for calling in, first of all.
No problem. I'm in New York for a couple weeks now, so I guess I'm calling locally.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic.
Yeah, man. It's been a while. I think I was on your show about a month ago, right?
I think it was a little longer than that, but at the you were at work at a book.
That's correct. I was working on a book at the time called Tonight Show Confidential.
And
The Tonight Show America Can't Watch, behind the scenes of America's favorite talk show from the perspective of a segment producer, me, Brad Lester.
Now, I should say that you are a segment producer for, or what was a segment producer for?
Well, I was the segment producer for The Tonight Show with Jay Leno.
Mm-hmm. Which means what for people who are new?
Well, for people who don't know what the basic job of a segment producer is that, as you know, on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, I'm outside on a roof now. I'm at a roof party.
Okay.
Right here in New York, so maybe a little loud. You may hear some sirens or so forth, car alarms, such and forth. All the sounds of New York.
Sure.
In any event, basic job, responsibilities of a segment producer, what I did do for Jay Leno and for The Tonight Show is, as people see on the show, there are segments, which means there are celebrity guests involved. And I work one-on-one with the celebrity guests in order to prepare Jay for what they're going to say, what they're going to promote, what they're going to do on the show.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what I did do, and what I do again.
Okay, so you are back now.
I am back. Well, actually, Jay, the Tonight Show's on sabbatical this week, but I'm heading back to L.A. next week, and I'm starting up again.
So what brought you back to the Tonight Show after? You were there, 8 years or 7 years?
I was a segment producer for about 8 years on the show.
Uh-huh. And
then with the publication of the book, or with the attempted publication of the book, which we talked about the last time I was on your show,
mm-hmm.
Well, let's put it this way. The book got around. A lot of people at the Tonight Show read the book and were not happy with the content of the book. There were a lot of stories told in that book which people were uncomfortable with. And some of the stories about some of the celebrities, and even about Jay, and about some of the people who worked there, which were just stories that I was able to compile because I was there and experienced it, right?
Uh-huh.
Now, some of these stories that got out, that when the book got out, and when it went public around with the people who I worked with, they were not very happy. And it's caused a few waves. And my sabbatical from the show was not voluntary. And I think it had a lot to do with a lot of what I wrote about in the book, which people were very uncomfortable with, because a lot of the stories were very inflammatory. And when you write the truth, people get upset.
Now, see, that's somewhat...
But let me say this before you go on, Tom, that I spoke to Jay personally over the phone. Jay has read portions of the book. And Jay is somebody who I think really respects the artistic process, and although he might have been uncomfortable a little bit with some of the stories I told about some of the celebrities who were on, I think he feels that it was the right thing to do to publish it, and that, I think, is why I'm back at the show, along with the fact that I have an amazing relationship with Jay, and we've worked together for 8 years, and we work so much together that I think there's a symbiosis there, and we're like brothers.
So if Jay felt that way, why is the book? What is the status of the book then?
Well, still working on the book. And
so the book that you had come on,
I brought
discussing.
you segments of a book that had not yet been published.
Yes.
Correct. It had not yet gone to press. I had not yet established a publisher who wanted to print it. Since then, I've been working hard on the book, and based on some of the feedback I got from you and your audience, quite frankly, who were very critical of some of the stories I told. Even though these are just stories I'm retelling that happened, Tom. You understand, as a segment producer and as a writer, I just happen to be privy to these stories, and I wrote them because I thought they were interesting, and I think people want to know what goes on behind the scenes of a show.
But
like
I think
The Tonight Show, which is one of the most popular shows on television.
Absolutely, but I think the discrepancy comes from the fact that the stories, maybe while they would have been fascinating to you as someone who's in the segment producing industry, for the layperson, they did not hold a lot of interest. They were not as titillating or as...
Well, I don't think that's necessarily true, Tom, because a lot of the people who read it, who worked with me on The Tonight Show, felt that these stories were too damaging and too inflammatory to be told in a book.
But see, that's surprising that they would feel that way, because every story that you told me just about, I felt they kind of were a little too slight.
Well, let me tell you this, Tom. I'm at a roof party right now in New York City, right?
And I appreciate you calling.
With my friend Danny Rosen, who is segment producer for the Rosie O'Donnell Show. I'm also here with Billy Paltz, who is a segment producer from the Craig Kilborn Show. And between the three of us, because we do the same thing, we've batted around these stories for years.
Okay.
About what goes on. And I'll tell you something, when we get together, when the three of us get together, and there's even other people involved who are in my game, who are in my business, when we get together and tell each other stories, these are stories worth telling.
I should say my guest is Brad Lester, who is a segment producer for The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, and we're discussing the book that was, I guess, aborted and now seems to be back in progress.
It's back in progress, and definitely compiling some new stories and keeping some of the old stories that I told in the first draft. And look, a book is a process. I mean, if it were up to me, I'd be writing this book my whole life. I would be, if I continue to be the segment producer of the Jay Leno Show, God willing, for the rest of my life, I would be continually writing this book, because that's how many great stories there are. And these are stories that I think, of course America wants to know these stories, because, number one, they have to do with the most powerful people in the world. Number two, there's a lot of stories there which are just interesting to tell. Not just because they involve celebrities, but because they involve personalities.
Okay.
And when personalities clash, no matter what field, it's interesting.
You said you've added a bunch of stories?
I did,
since the last time.
I did. Well, the first story I added after that, and this was probably very quickly after your show, and this was, of course, a dark period for me, because when some of these stories got out, when I was in L.A. working on Jay Leno, when some of these stories got out, and when people started reading about them, I was put in a very awkward situation at work. And like I said, I was forced into a sabbatical from work. Luckily, and fortunately enough, the great people at the Tonight Show brought me back on.
Okay.
Because I think now they understand what I was trying to do.
Now, did you think...
Now, I wasn't trying to capitalize on sensation, but what I was doing is just trying to write about the experiences of the Tonight Show.
Okay. Like what?
Well, I'll tell you the Hector Alessandro story.
Okay, he's an actor.
Hector Alessandro is an actor. He's been in a million movies. He was on TV on the show Chicago Hope, which he won an Emmy for.
Okay.
Hector Alessandro, about 8 months ago, came on the show. Now, prior to the show, and I didn't know this, I wasn't cognizant of this at the time, but Hector's people called the show and said that Hector is practically a professional bongo player. You know what the bongos are.
Sure.
They're a musical instrument.
The drum, like a little...
Yeah, like timpani. You play them with your hands.
Mm-hmm.
All right? I mean, everybody knows this. It's like a tropical instrument. All right? So Hector is... Now I learned that Hector wants to play some bongos on the show. But Hector, at the time, was doing a movie in Vancouver. Right?
Uh-huh.
But his people called and said, can you get Hector's bongos, which are in his house in L.A., right? He lives in Chatsworth, California, which is about 20 minutes outside L.A., because Hector's going to be flying in from Vancouver, and we had made those arrangements. Hector's flying in from Vancouver, right?
Okay.
And he's coming directly to the show. Our people are going to pick him up at the airport and bring him directly to set, bring him right to Burbank, where we shoot the show, and then he's going to go on. Now, my responsibility now is, number one, to get the segment together, to tell Jay that Hector wants to play the bongos. Now, apparently Hector is amazing at playing the bongos, right?
Okay.
And there's actually footage of Hector playing the bongos. He did it on Chicago Hope, which I only learned later. He actually played the bongos on Chicago Hope. They wrote it into an episode. That's how good he is at the bongos.
Okay.
He doesn't play professionally per se because primarily he's an actor.
Yes.
But I guess, according to everything I've heard and to what he did, he could. He could play professional bongos.
Okay.
All right?
Uh-huh. Okay, so you set it up.
Now, 2 days before the show, we're set to pick up Hector's bongos at his house. His personal assistant, who was supposed to be there, flew to Vancouver the day before. Now, we can't get into Hector's house. So I'm supposed to retrieve these bongos, which Hector's going to play on the show 2 days later. I can't get into Hector's house.
Uh-huh, because the segment producer...
I personally wasn't there.
The assistant
but
was
I had sent runners, and they couldn't get into his house. So now I can't get this set of bongos. Right? And apparently, these are the bongos that Hector plays. He doesn't want to play other bongos.
Okay.
All right? We can't get into his house. We set off his house alarm, or my runners did. They set off his house alarm. The house alarm is going off because they tried to get into his house. Apparently, if you even touch the door on his gate, an alarm goes off. Now I'm dealing with a major situation because my runners call me up and say, we're here with the security team who would come over because they're trying to explain that they were from The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. We had approval from Hector and his assistant. I try and call his agency. I can't get in touch with his agent. I can't get the bongos.
Okay.
I cannot get the bongos. There's a whole rigmarole for the rest of that day. We can't get in. The security team says we have to leave the premises. I'm in constant contact with my runners. Now I can't get the bongos for the show. Hector's coming now 2 days later. We call Hector. We call Hector the next day. He is unavailable because he's on set. We try his assistant. Can't get in touch. Leave repeated messages. Finally, day of show, we got in touch with Hector, and he's willing to use the bongos that the band will provide.
Okay.
He comes on the show,
Uh-huh.
and he plays the bongos. Now, he's not happy about this. These are not his bongos. He didn't have time to go home to get his bongos before he comes to the show. What happened in the end was Hector Alessandro, who was, very serious about his bongo playing, was not very happy. So I have to smooth it over with Jay, and then I have to smooth it over with Hector after the show is over. There was a little bit of an incident after the show where Hector is saying, well, you should have, that there were ways by which we could have gotten the bongos, we should have gotten in touch with him earlier, such and forth. I had to deal with that. I had to smooth it over between Jay and Hector after the show, but the bongo segment did go great.
Okay, so wait, that's the story?
Well, the point is that Hector Alessandro, despite being a serious talent, has a temper.
Okay.
And he was none too pleased about the fact that, even though my hands were tied in that situation.
Now, how much space does that story take up in the in like the book?
Well, I mean, I gave you an abridged version of the story. I mean, there's a lot more stuff involved, which is incessant phone calls between me, Hector Alessandro, some of which I've transcribed in the book because I have them. Because at the Tonight Show, we tape we have the ability to tape all our phone conversations.
Okay.
So I have some of these conversations on tape, which are pretty damn interesting to read because they're actually the real phone conversations I had prior to the show with Hector's people. One call between me and Hector himself, where we were setting up the whole segment about the bongo playing. So, overall, it takes, this is about a 25-page portion of the book.
How? But that's 25 pages.
But 25 pages, most of which are transcriptions of conversations I had with Hector and Hector's people.
But I think that you're back in the same boat because, to tell you the truth, that is not a very interesting story.
I'm going to tell you the Jack Hanna story. You know who Jack Hanna is?
Was he like a zoo?
Jack Hanna is, yes.
Right, zoo.
He works for a zoo. He's been doing it for years. He's been on. He goes as far back as Carson.
Okay.
All right. Great guy. We've worked on several occasions together. In the 8 years that I was working on the Tonight Show, Jack Hanna was probably he's a veteran of the Tonight Show.
Sure.
He was a great friend of Johnny's, and because of that, he's a great friend of Jay's. And although he's getting a little on in years, he's probably in his 70s now. He's still doing it. Mm-hmm. Although he really only does it part-time now. But he still comes on the show because he's still affiliated with the San Diego Zoo.
Okay.
He came on, and they were going to do a crocodile segment.
Okay.
He brings several animals.
Yeah.
But he was bringing, on this particular occasion, he's bringing reptiles. All this is cleared through Jay. Now, before I get into the story, I want you to know that Jay Leno is a serious germophobic.
Okay.
He can't stand germs. He's constantly using Purell. You know what Purell is?
Just like it's like
Purell is like a liquid antibacterial which you can get at any drugstore. It's over the counter, but he's practically obsessive with it.
Okay.
All right? Now, before, I would say about Jack Hanna comes in fairly early in the day because he's got to set up the animals, and he brings a lot of people with him because there are trainers involved. There's a bunch of people involved. And when there's an animal segment on, just so you understand, it's a little more, it ups the ante, let's put it that way.
In terms
there's
of
a little more work to be done because there are animals involved, and there's a lot more people involved. It's not like me and Angelina Jolie sitting down and talking about, whether or not she's going to discuss Billy Bob Thornton and the relationship. It's not me having a glass of champagne with somebody in the green room. It's like trying to coordinate a whole group of people who are all working together to bring the animals on. See what I'm saying?
So you've got handlers, I'm assuming.
We've got handlers. We've got a bunch of people. We've got animals in cages. We've got food to provide with the animals. We've got the trucks coming in, loading in the animals. It's, look, I'm not saying Angelina Jolie is easy. She isn't. But this is a little more difficult as far as work-wise.
Okay, I should say my guest is segment producer for The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, Brad Lester, and he's discussing his upcoming book about The Tonight Show.
And like I said, this is just one of the stories.
Okay.
I mean, I told you the Hector Alessandro story, and that's just sort of a warm-up for this story.
Okay.
This is definitely, this is all true and all accounted for. And even I think even Jay is going to enjoy this story, though he hasn't read it yet. I'm sure he remembers it. Now, Jay, like I said, is a complete germophobic. Jack Hanna comes up to me before and says his prized crocodile that was going to come out as the pièce de résistance of the segment, the closing animal, which was going to be this crocodile, which supposedly has some special breed or something. It was a mixture of a couple of breeds of crocodile. It's amazing to look at. It was. I saw it.
Okay.
Right? Okay, so he says the crocodile has a cold.
Okay.
Now, I'm like, well, what are we going to do? Can the crocodile go on? He said, of course. I mean, it's not sick. It just has a cold. It's like, it has like a rattle when it breathes.
Okay.
He made it very clear to me that it's not that big a deal when a crocodile has a cold. Probably like a mild cold for humans. Now, I got to go tell Jay that the crocodile has a cold. All right? Because he's got to know, because, first of all, Jack Hanna said you should make it clear to everybody that the crocodile has a cold. It's a little sick. It may make some funny noises. It may cough up. I know that probably if it does, Jay will make a great joke about it. It'll be funny if, you know, something comes out, flies out of the crocodile's mouth, as long as it doesn't hit Jay. But I have to tell Jay, I have to inform Jay that the crocodile is sick because I want Jay to know. If anything happens, I'm responsible.
Because that's your job, I guess.
Pretty much my job to know, you know, like, he told me, Jack Hanna told me, I have to, because Jack Hanna told me and I know about it, I have to make this information available to Jay.
Yes.
Here's my position at that moment. Jay's going to freak out.
Okay.
Jay's going to flip.
As soon as he finds out the crocodile
Jay's going to have a massive tantrum because the crocodile is sick. Now I'm thinking he won't go on with the crocodile. This is the animal they brought in to close the segment out. Jack Hanna's very excited about it. He's made it quite clear to me that it's not a big deal that the crocodile has a cold. It's not going to affect him talking about the crocodile or it moving around or eating something that he feeds it.
Okay.
Apparently he's going to feed it with a bottle and do a thing where he holds it like a baby.
Okay.
And, you know, there was talk about the band playing Sonny Boy or something like that when he's rocking the crocodile back and forth, feeding it like it's like a human baby.
Okay.
To me, that's funny. That was something Jack Hanna thought of with me,
so now,
and we were going to do that.
So now,
but now I got to go into Jay's office about 4 hours before the show and tell him that the crocodile is going to be on the show, is sick, knowing Jay is germaphobic.
So what? Look, this story is. This is a very long story. Could you just jump to like what happened with the crocodile? Like what if you?
All right. Here's the payoff. Humans and reptiles cannot contract any type of cold or disease from one another unless there's some sort of like weird contact, which of course was not going to happen. But you can touch it, you can do whatever you want. You can't get sick from it.
So what?
But there's a couple of pretty tense moments before the show where I have to go up and tell Jay because I'm sure Jay's going to flip, and he did when I told him. What I was not aware of at the time was that humans cannot contract a cold from a crocodile.
So when did that become apparent to you and Jay?
Like about 4 hours before the show, like I said.
So what happened on the show then?
Went great. So crocodile came out. It had like a wheeze. Jay made a joke about it.
Okay, so see now again, that's the kind of story that that it's kind of not. I mean, nothing happened in that story.
Well, I mean, the point is that we're on national television, and we're on national television in about 4 hours, and we got to go on with that segment. And I'm pretty sure that Jay, who's one of the most popular figures in entertainment history, is going to flip out. So there is something important in that segment when that segment has to go on. Mm-hmm. That's why these stories are interesting, Tom, because before a show, the show has to go on. We don't have a choice.
I understand that.
We can't go black. We can't run an info ad. We can't do anything else. If Jay is going to be uncomfortable with the fact that he's got to sit there with a sick crocodile, and he says, I can't do it, we're screwed.
Okay.
And because we're screwed, America is screwed. So it is serious. I know, I probably understand how people aren't going to comprehend the fact of how tense that situation is, but to me, as a segment producer who was there at the time, the situation was sincerely very tense.
Okay, now my guest is Brad Lester, who is a segment producer for The Tonight Show with Jay Leno.
Hey, No, I just want to say that I'm at a party right now.
Okay.
With my two friends. Like I said, I was up on the roof.
All right. Now.
And I think that some of the stories that I told are very similar to some of the stories these guys have because they work in the same field as I do.
Okay.
Billy Paltz, who works as a segment producer for the Craig Kilborn show in L.A.
Karen? Hi, Karen.
And I'm on a radio show. I'm on a local radio show.
KKB?
No, FMU, right?
Yes, WFMU.
WFMU with Tom Scharpling.
No.
Now, we're sitting around having a couple beers, and this is some of the times when actually we tell a lot of the stories between us. So if these stories, my...
Karen, it's Billy.
What's that?
Hi, Karen, it's Billy.
No, I said it's Tom Scharpling from WFMU.
Yeah, whatever.
All right, so I'll tell you what, Tom. As a bonus, I can put on the segment producer for the Rosie O'Donnell show. His name is Danny Rosen. He's right here right now.
Okay.
He can corroborate some of these stories, and he could probably tell a couple stories of his own.
Sure. But I'd like to just get another person's take on the whole segment.
Yeah, I think that will provide a little bit of perspective for you so you know exactly what it's like. I mean, I'm not saying it's exactly the same at Rosie, but there are similarities because it's the same type of show. It's a daily show. It's a strip show. There are celebrities involved, and there are high-powered personalities involved.
Now, when you say strip show, that's like an industry lingo?
Right. A strip show does not mean there are strippers involved. A strip show means that it runs every day of the week.
Okay. Now, would you be willing to take a quick phone call?
Sure, and then I can put Danny on.
Absolutely. Let's put somebody on the air who's been calling here. WFMU, you're on the air.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm pleased to get through. Thank you for taking my call. I have to say that, when I was in high school, I came up with a rule that I've decided to follow for the rest of my life.
Okay.
And that rule is, your ties to entertainment and your guests' ties to the Tonight Show, notwithstanding. But I came up with the rule that says if I would be having a better time watching television than with the group of people that I'm with, I would rather be not there anymore. Okay? And having listened to your guest for as long as I've listened to your guest, which is the better part of an hour now, I'd really rather be watching television or not listening to
Wait, what was the saying again?
Radio. If I would be having a better time watching television.
If I were having a better time watching television,
I will stop doing whatever activity it is that I'm doing now, because television would be the barest minimum.
So you're saying that when you're watching television is something you'd least want to be doing as opposed to being with the people you're with?
So are you saying that you find Brad's stories to be...
Well, I have to say that I think you're a genius, Mr. Scharpling, because I cannot believe, and again, forgive me for putting it this way, but I cannot believe that anyone that tells such uninteresting stories could be in any way involved with such a dynamite, high-rated show as The Tonight Show. So I believe that your guest is actually a construct and someone that you have created to tell these stories to...
Well, I'm not saying... Well, first of all, sir, so just so you know, I have been on the Tom Scharpling show before. It was during my hiatus, and I did tell a lot of other stories about the show that I didn't tell tonight. These stories that I told tonight were additions, but I got to say they're in a similar vein. And just so you know, I don't know what you do for a living, but because I have high-powered celebrities involved does not necessarily mean my stories are more or less interesting.
Well, let me draw an analogy for you, if I may.
Okay.
I've been in the publishing industry since I'm 16 years old, either in the production or distribution or retail sales in one way or the other, so I know that industry pretty well.
Okay.
There's a magazine called Players Magazine, which has photographs of naked African-American women, dark-skinned women in it.
I don't want this to go in a direction that I'm not comfortable.
Oh, no,
me neither.
This is, you'll see that this is not derogatory in any way, except to the magazine.
Okay, because I only have great respect for the African-American
As well do I. And my point
for
is
the
simply
magazine
that judging from this magazine...
And that makes three of us.
If I was going to judge the appearance of dark-skinned females by the people in this magazine, I would have to conclude that the majority of them were not very attractive.
Well, I'll tell you something. I think
based on that magazine. Okay.
Well, I'll tell you something, sir. From what I gather from what you just said, that is sick-minded, and I'm not going to support that kind of attitude. I came on this show to tell a couple of stories to promote a book that I'm writing about the Tonight Show, which is a mainstream show, and now you're going off on a tangent, which
no. Give me a second. I can bring it right back. My analogy is that you claim to work with high-powered.
Well, the fact that you bring up that particular analogy disturbs me, because I don't think that analogy is appropriate.
I actually have
your opinion, however,
and I think it's very telling that you use that analogy, sir.
I have to
as
agree.
Opposed to any other analogy you could have used.
And I will agree with my guest. I agree. I will agree with my guest.
All right,
now.
I'm no logician, but I'll tell you something. That's odd to me. All right, I've worked in show business for 8 years, and I got a lot of interesting stories to tell. That's why I'm here on the show. I'm certainly not here on the show to bash African Americans that are pictured in magazines.
No, that I was also equally as unsettled with the content.
I hope you got rid of that guy. Man,
yes, I did.
That guy.
Well,
all right.
Here's another call coming in for you. WFMU, you're on the air. FMU, you're on the air. Okay, that's cool. Let's get another one. FMU, you're on the air.
I think this gentleman confirms why the Tonight Show is so lame.
What, you think the Tonight Show is lame?
I think the Tonight Show is
lame.
lame.
So you would be in the minority of America because over 30 million people a night watch the Tonight Show and enjoy it.
That's fine with me. I'll gladly.
Well, I mean, look, there's no question about that. How old are you?
I'm 22.
22. Well, you're not particularly in our demographic, so that doesn't make sense. What's your favorite television show?
I'd have to say Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
Space Ghost Coast to Coast. I've never heard of it.
It's on midnights, Sundays.
Well, all right. I don't need to know. My point is that my job is to bring on some of the most powerful people in show business on television every night, and because of that, I have a lot of stories to tell because of the fact that I have access. You're 22 years old. You don't have that access. You don't have the access that I do now. If you read my book, I think you'll appreciate it a little more.
Okay.
And once you grow up a little bit and learn more about life, you'll realize that this kind of stuff happens.
Well, he just hung up.
All right.
And one call, and then we'll speak to your friend. WFMU, you're on the air.
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air.
Hi.
With Brad Lester.
Hi, Brad. Hi, Tom.
Hi, how are you?
I just want to say that I kind of like the idea of Brad's book because, like, as far as all that, dirty, saucy stuff that's all over the television and the tabloids these days, it's kind of, like, refreshing to hear something more subtle.
Hey, look, I have a great deal of stories to choose from, like I said, and I may be redundant and repeating myself 1,000 times, but we do a show every night of the week.
Right.
So naturally, I meet a lot of people, and there are a lot of stories to tell, but I had to pick and choose between these stories, and I didn't want to go the sensational route. I could tell the story where Jay Leno hit a little boy with his car, with his race car. He has an Austin Healy. I mean, he hit a little boy with his car, and instead of taking that boy to the hospital, he took that boy to his home.
Really?
And kept that boy in his home for like 2 weeks because he didn't want a scandal to get out and also he didn't want to get sued.
Now, why wouldn't something like that?
Or I could have told the story where Robert Wool, Robert Wool? From Arliss?
Yeah.
He killed his assistant in the green room at the Jay Leno show.
No.
3 years ago, and this is a true story.
Now, how come that's something we've never heard of?
Never got out. We had to. I was practically responsible for sweeping this under the rug.
Why would you sweep something like that under
the
rug, though?
I can't really get into it, but there's a part of me which believes that I'm actually complicit in the act because I was involved in the cover-up.
Well,
however, these kind of stories did happen, and they do happen on the Tonight Show, but that's not what my book is about, Tom.
Now, but that's the kind of thing that's actually. That's the kind of thing that people...
By the way,
yeah?
that kid who was hit by a car by Jay Leno, with Jay Leno's Austin Healy, still lives at Jay Leno's house.
So he actually has taken the kid in.
He took the kid in. Now he actually works for The Tonight Show.
Now, why would you, though, be responsible for a murder?
See you later. People are leaving the party right now.
Well, I mean, do you want to put your friend on and then come?
All right. I'm going to put my friend on right now. I'm going to put on Danny Rosen. Well, you know what? I'm going to put on Billy Paltz right now.
Okay.
He works for the Craig Kilborn Show, and he's also a segment producer like me.
Okay.
Now, just so you know, he's read portions of my book, and he has some similar stories to tell, which are just as interesting.
Well,
Let me put him on right now. Billy? Hello?
hello. This is you're Billy Paltz?
That's correct. Who am I talking to?
My name's
going
Tom.
on here?
My
I
name's
just
Tom
thought
Scharpling. It's a radio show that Brad Lester was a guest on, and I guess he was looking for somebody to kind of corroborate his stories. That that they are fascinating to people who are in the field of segment producing. Which you see, the main complaint I have is he tells the stories.
Is this from his book?
Yes, from the book.
Right.
And they tend to me and to a lot of the people listening to
They're
not.
incredible. I mean, some of those stories are amazing, aren't they? I don't know which ones he's told on the phone tonight,
But see, I actually would beg to differ because I kind of feel that a lot of them are kind of. If you're going to read a celebrity tell-all book, like a behind-the-scenes look at a TV show,
right.
You think things are going to be a little more, a little more exciting, and the stories won't just be about how he thought that a crocodile had a cold that was supposed to be on the Tonight Show, and Jay didn't want to catch the cold from the crocodile.
Oh, I love that story.
So, but you work on what? On Craig Kilborn show?
Yeah, that's correct.
And so, I mean, you've heard Brad's stories. He said that you've heard them.
Wait, is that true? Did you have an alligator that had a cold, or is he just making that up? Is that an example you're using as an example, or is that a story that he told you?
That's a story he told me.
Because that's amazing. Because that can be like a real... You guys don't have animals. No, we don't do a lot of animal stuff on our show, but I mean, if we had an animal that had a cold, Craig would flip out. Yeah. Oh, I mean, I guess, see, that to me is a pretty incredible behind-the-scenes story, personally.
Uh-huh. But see,
but we don't do animal segments. I don't know if you wanted to hear more animal stories.
Not particularly, no. I mean, is that, to you, though, do you think that story, or I
flipped. He called me that as soon as they were done taping, he called me about that. I flipped.
Do you think that is, though, something that the average reader of somebody looking for real behind-the-scenes action is going to thrill to? I mean, that's been my complaint with Brad's book, is that it just seems kind of less than the standard that it should be for an entertainment, like a showbiz tell-all.
I mean, to me, that story, it's, you've got Jay Leno, who's one of the biggest hosts, and an alligator. I mean, I don't know. That to me is an interesting story.
Uh-huh. I mean, is that par for the course at the Craig Kilborn show?
Well, I mean, we don't do animal segments, but we've had some pretty... Oh, excuse me. I mean, there's, crazy things happen. I mean, we don't get as many of the big names, I think, as the Tonight Show does, obviously. But, we still get some... I mean, crazy stuff happens all the time on these shows.
Like, can you give me an example?
One of my favorite's a relative term here. It was a nightmare, but a really crazy thing that happened. Like, we had Jeremy Irons on, and which was great. It was kind of a big score for our show. I don't remember the movie he was promoting, but he's a really pretty big actor, I think, and it was nice for us to get him. And he was supposed to do one segment, and then in the commercial break, he just decided on his own that he's going to do two segments.
Okay.
And then he did two segments. It was crazy.
But see, that's the story?
But, the thing is, well, yeah, that's the story. But if you're watching the show, you don't know that. You just think, they had Jeremy Irons, and he had more stories. But the fact of the matter is, what really happened is that we had a commercial break, and we're like saying, I had to go out there. I'm like, Jeremy, great job. And he's like, he's like, oh, thank you. He's got this really, really phenomenal voice. He's done a lot of, I think he was in The Lion King as the evil lion.
Yeah.
And he just got this tremendous voice. He's like, oh, well, I think, I'd like to do another, am I talking some more? And I'm like, no, you're done, but that was great. Well, I'm going to stay. I would like to talk. And then it's like, I mean, literally they had to say, Billy, out of there, 5, 4, 3, and I had to get out, and we just had to keep going.
So yeah, but see, that really,
But you don't know. The thing is, if you're watching at home, you would never know that.
Yeah,
You think, oh, they had Jeremy Irons for 2 segments, and why wouldn't they? He's a big actor.
But again, that's really not the most exciting. I mean, that's very, very uneventful for.
Not for me, it wasn't.
Well, I'm sure it wasn't for you because it was your job and you're just doing your job.
Right.
But it's no different than some janitor writing a book about how he had to go get a different kind of wax for the floor.
With all due respect to a janitor, I'd like to see him deal with Jeremy Irons wanting to all of a sudden springing on you without telling you that he's going to do another segment. I mean, I don't know if that sounds condescending, but you make a good point. I mean, I don't want to read about a guy who mops a floor. I'd like to read about what happens when you got to deal with a celebrity who's throwing a fit.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is more interesting.
So you think that just a story that mundane, or some of the stories that Brad tells, are as fascinating as some of the classic showbiz stories that people come to expect from like a showbiz book?
I flipped through the book, and we actually, before he put the book out, we were talking about some of the stories, and I thought they were all pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Now, can I speak to Brad for a second?
Yeah, hold on, Brad.
Well, thank you, Billy.
Hello?
I want to thank Billy for thank him for me.
Billy says thank you. Thank you for no problem. Look, it's sort of an intimate party. It's just the 3 of us right now. Billy's in from L.A. like I am. Both got a week off, and Danny was nice enough to have us over and just having a small dinner party with a couple of beers, like I said, and telling some stories. So this is a good time to call, I thought, because the 3 of us are together and we all do the same thing, and they could talk about some of the stories that I talk about.
Mm-hmm. I should say my guest is Brad Lester, who is a segment producer for The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, and he has a book coming out soon, I guess, which is like a behind-the-scenes look at The Tonight Show.
We're still looking for publishers right now, and like I said, I'm still reworking the original draft, and we're all constantly adding new stories because they're constantly coming up. I told you the Jack Hanna story. I told you the Hector Alessandro story. The Hector Alessandro story happened about 4 months ago. Like I said, this is a new, fresh story, which I just happened to write about. So, the problem with this book, Tom, if I can be quite frank, is these stories keep coming up faster than I can write them.
But I think you should, like you said, the thing about Jay hitting a child with his car.
He hit a 4-year-old kid with a car. That kid was in the studio audience. The kid apparently had got lost from his parents. They had separated. This was long after the show. They were still looking for the kid. Apparently, interns were trying to find him as well. They couldn't. He had somehow gotten out the back exit and was walking around the parking lot in the back. As Jay was leaving, he backed into the kid with his Austin Healy Roadster.
Now, why would that not be in the book, that Jay Leno basically hits a child with his car and then kidnaps him?
First of all, Tom, I was involved in that story personally. I don't want to go through with the legal ramifications of why I can't write some of that stuff. I probably could, because it's true and it happened. And fortunately, everything turned out all right, despite the fact the kid was taken away from his parents.
By Jay Leno?
Well, unwittingly by Jay Leno.
Yeah, which is even worse.
At the time, when Jay Leno hit this kid with the car, Jay was not aware that the kid was lost from his parents. He just thought he hit some lone kid with a car.
So
like a 4-year-old that happened to be wandering around who probably was parentless.
But why?
So whatever was going through Jay's mind at the time, I don't know. I wasn't privy to that. I'm not inside Jay's head. But I know for a fact that Jay is a great man. Jay is an incredible talent. Jay is practically a genius. So I don't think that... But I can't for 1 second jump into the brain of Jay Leno at that time. I'm sure he was nervous. I'm sure whatever happened.
No, but
it happened very fast, and he did take that kid home, and he has raised him very well.
But why on earth is that not in the book?
Well, I don't think that's a story necessarily worthy of telling. Because number one, It's a story that has nothing to do with segments on the Jay Leno show.
Well, but it's a fact. It
does have something to do with Jay Leno, and it did happen on the show, but it has nothing to do with my job there. And the title of the book is Tonight Show Confidential.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but I mean...
Behind the scenes of America's favorite talk show, from the perspective of a segment producer.
So you're letting that kind of... That's kind of imprisoning you in a way, that tagline from the perspective of a segment producer.
Well, I certainly am not going to change the title this late in the game, and I'm not going to start writing about stories that didn't necessarily happen between myself and people who I worked with, celebrities and other personalities who I worked with who came on the show to promote their stuff.
Now, and again, you told the thing about Robert. You actually assisted in the murder of somebody?
I did not assist in the murder. I said I assisted in the cover-up of a murder that Robert Wool, that he did. And this is, of course, nobody knows about this except for some of the people who worked on the show and some of the inner circle who worked on the show, and Jay, of course. And Robert Wool from Arliss did murder his personal assistant, who was about a 23-year-old girl, named Jennifer Harkin or something like that. I'm not quite sure of her name. I think it was Jennifer Harkin.
At the Tonight Show, though.
And it was in the green room, and it was before his appearance. However, I had already been in and out with Robert Wool, and we had already gone over the segment. Now, apparently there was a flare-up in the green room after I had left and talked to Robert Wool. So I was not there. I didn't see it with my eyes. And I'll tell you something. I'm not going to start writing slanderous stuff about people because I wasn't there and I did not witness it, so I don't know.
But what did you help do, though? You said you were complicit.
Partially complicit in covering it up.
But don't you feel bad about that?
Of course I do, but first and foremost, I'm working for the Jay Leno show.
No,
you have to understand that.
I'd say first and foremost,
this is not the first time there was a murder committed in the world,
wouldn't you say,
in this country, and it was certainly not the first time there was a murder committed on the show. So,
well, wouldn't you say first and foremost you're a human being, and you have to stick up for other human beings?
Well, I'll tell you something, Tom. How do we define ourselves as human beings? I certainly don't want to get into a metaphysical discussion with you right now. All right, although I did study metaphysics in college, and I did go to college, and I did go to a good college, which was Providence College, in Providence, Rhode Island. So I do have a little background in philosophy, and I certainly don't want to get into that argument with you right now. But I think we are partially defined by what we do. And what I do is segment produce on the Jay Leno show. And that's who I am. And I'm a pragmatist, all right? And sometimes it's more important to keep your job than it is to go public with a murder.
I think that's a real cop-out.
I don't think that's a cop-out.
I really do. I mean, I think that something like that happens.
And it was certainly a murder I didn't commit, all right?
But
I do have personal rules by which I live my life.
Now, how did you help cover it up, though?
Well, I don't necessarily want to go into how I helped cover it up. But I certainly wasn't primary in helping cover it up. But I was aware of what happened because I was there at the show. I did see the aftermath, and we had to make some quick and fast decisions about what was going to happen so as to protect Robert Wool, who happened to be a guest of the show at the time. So because he is on NBC premises, because he's at the Burbank studios at the time, the Jay Leno show and the Tonight Show could have been held accountable by law for Robert Wool's actions. And we did not want to get in that situation. As you know, I'm sure, I don't know if there's ever been a murder where you work.
No, there definitely hasn't. Well, I'm kind of disappointed in that you say there's even more than one.
What, where you work?
No, where you are. You said there's been more than one murder. You said that wasn't the first time there's been a murder.
No. Well, I mean, a lot of people don't realize how many murders happen in this country. A lot. Of course, it happens every day. There's something like one murder every 3 seconds or something like that. All right? Hopefully these murders don't happen to people you know and people you love. I agree. This one happened to Robert Wool's assistant, and there were other murders on The Tonight Show, of course. But, like I said, the book is called Tonight Show Confidential. Behind the scenes of America's favorite talk show from the perspective, and I really want to highlight this from the perspective of a segment producer.
I think you're making a huge mistake. First of all, not not contacting the police about something like that, and secondly, not, at the very least, in the most crass way, not exposing it for your book. I think, I think that is newsworthy stuff.
Look, you helped me before with the book, and I definitely will take this into account as I rewrite the book. But I'm certainly not going to write about stuff which I know for a fact is going to put my job on the line, because I just got back working together with Jay Leno again on The Tonight Show after being forced into sabbatical because of some of the stuff I wrote in the book before.
Now, let me ask you, did Robert Wohl, did he go on the show that night?
Yes, he did, and he did great.
But isn't it, how...
We showed a clip from Arliss. This was probably the third season of Arliss. It was a hilarious clip. I think it was with Charles Barkley, who was a professional basketball player. As you know, everybody knows who Charles Barkley is.
Sure.
And he showed that clip. It went great. Robert Wohl is great off the cuff. He works well with Jay. He's friends with Jay.
Mm-hmm.
And there was barely a sign that he was thrown from what had happened earlier. But granted, from what I know about the murder, it happened about 3 hours before the taping of the show. It happened at about 2:30. I don't know that for a fact, but obviously Robert Wohl had 3 hours to... I don't know. I mean, I didn't get involved with the situation.
Isn't it stunning?
I didn't get involved with the situation, Tom, until after the show. So I don't know exactly the time frame and what exactly happened step by step.
Isn't it stomach churning to you, though, on some level?
What?
The actual idea that someone would murder someone.
Yeah, I do think that is practically indefensible.
Practically. Hey, let's take one more call. WFMU, you're on the air.
Hi. I just want to say that I have an enormous amount of admiration for someone who has this level of nerve, this level of loyalty, this level of control, this type of commitment to their boss and to the institutions that they work for. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, not informing the civil authorities of that murder.
Are you referring to me?
Yeah, the gentleman who...
Brad Lester.
Who?
Brad Lester.
Brad Lester, yeah. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you're a hero. You're self-sacrificing. You have a moral code. And
I think everybody subscribes to a different moral code, of course. I mean, you have a job.
And as far as these stories is concerned,
right?
I think the alligator cold story is hilarious. I think the Jeremy Irons wanting to do a second segment story is, I mean, that was breathtaking. That was riveting. And the things that...
Well, to be quite honest,
the things
and
that
I'm outside in the hallway. I'm not at that party anymore, but, to be quite honest, I don't think that the Craig Kilborn show is as interesting a show as the Tonight Show, of course.
No, the Tonight Show
is not as big, and they don't have as big guys. And to be quite honest with you, Jeremy Irons was probably the premier guest they've ever had.
Yeah, I know.
So I don't even know why they didn't give him 2 seconds.
No, there's no way that it's in Jay's league or your league.
No, but what I'm saying is, what shocks me is that they didn't offer Jeremy Irons 2 segments to begin with.
Off the
bat. That's what surprised me.
Yes, well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And it shows that someone is,
And I think, to be quite honest, if Jeremy Irons said that he had an interest in staying an extra segment, if I were the segment producer, I would have approved that in a second. I wouldn't have even questioned it.
Yeah, which is why he's working for Craig Kilborn and you're working for Jay Leno.
Yeah, I guess. He's a great guy. He's a little younger than me, and he's definitely coming up in the business. So he is...
Well, you better watch your back then.
I don't think I have anything to worry about right now.
Well, thanks for calling. Well, Brad, so when can we look forward to seeing the book, do you think?
Well, like I said, we're still looking for publishers, and I would definitely love to put on my other friend from the Rosie O'Donnell show. I know their time constraints for their show.
Absolutely. I'd love to. I would just like to. I want to know if this is like a constant through every show, that this is what you guys consider to be the most fascinating stuff.
Well, I'm just saying, it may not necessarily be completely fascinating, but you do have to read the book. And I know that when you hear the stories live, a lot of people are going to be out there in your audience who are saying, like, I don't necessarily find these stories completely interesting. Like, I don't find them necessarily They don't blow me away.
Mhm.
But you have to put it in the context of what I do and where I work. I think when you, look, I just recently read Lee Iacocca's biography.
Uh-huh.
All right? Now, granted, I'm not a car fanatic. All right?
Okay.
I don't necessarily care about cars. I drive a car, I don't really think about it. If it breaks down, I don't know how to fix it. But there's more to that book about Lee Iacocca than just cars. A lot of people who are going to judge this book critically are going to say, well, look, this is about celebrities and dishing dirt. Well, it's not that. It's about a machine, and that machine is The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. So
Okay.
It's about a business, and it's about the stories that happen, and it's about personalities that clash. I told you the Hector Elizondo story.
Yes.
That's one of them. You know, that's really not necessarily about a celebrity per se, but it's about somebody who had clashed with somebody else. It's like the Bible.
Okay. I didn't realize the Bible was...
Bible is about personalities that clash.
Mhm. So can I speak to your friend?
Sure. Hold on. He's right here.
What's his name?
Who did I put you on with before?
Oh, I spoke to Billy before.
I spoke to Billy Paltz, who I'm going to put on Danny Rosen on right now, who's the segment producer for the Rosie O'Donnell show. All right? He does pretty much the same thing I do, but he does it here locally in New York, and I'm at his apartment right now.
Okay.
Here's Danny Rosen.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Who's this?
My name's Tom. Danny, welcome
Tom,
to the...
someone just put a phone in my hand. I'm sorry. What's happening here?
Okay, well, this is a radio interview that Brad Lester was doing.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
A radio. That's fantastic.
So he was telling us some of the stories that take place backstage at the Tonight Show.
Oh,
Now-
well, yeah, that Jay Leno is, he is unpredictable.
Now, I mean, is this the stories?
He
I
has
guess,
a lot of motorcycles.
Yeah, I
Jay
know
Leno.
he's a car nut from what I've learned. The stories that Brad tells, the one thing I can't get past is that I honestly don't think they're very interesting, and I don't think they're going to have a lot.
Well, he has a collection of them.
Well, I know he has a collection. I just don't think that those stories compiled in a book are going to be the most fascinating thing for people
Oh, well,
to read.
I would feverishly disagree with that statement.
And is that? I mean, the story.
That is just not true.
Well, I mean, if you know the stories from that Brad tells, he said you guys swapped the stories.
Yeah.
I mean,
I work at Rosie O'Donnell's show.
Mhm. Now, are those stories the same? I
You
mean,
know,
are
we've
those
fired 85 people since it started.
okay? I mean, see, that's the kind of thing that seems a little more interesting. That, you know, like I mean.
Well, that's not a story. That's not like a book worthy. That's just more of an anecdotal fact.
No, but see, that's the kind of thing that I think people actually.
Oh, you want? I'd give you a story if you're. Are you making a book?
No, I'm just. Brad said I'd be as interested in speaking to you and your friend Billy from the Craig Kilborn show as I would him, and that your stories were as interesting as his.
Well, I suppose there's you have a lot of viewers. I'm assuming. I mean, you have people who listen to your show, right?
Sure.
Well, here's I got a great story. I mean, I guess I enjoy the fact that there's an audience for this one.
Mm-hmm.
This is good. This is a good story. I was working I booked talent for Rosie,
Mm-hmm.
and Fran Drescher was supposed to come to the show, and she canceled.
Okay. Danny?
Yeah.
Okay, is that the story?
Yeah.
The story.
I mean, think of that, because we thought she was going to be in the chair, and we're 20 minutes away, which is meltdown around that place.
Uh-huh. So
And
how did you?
A phone call comes through, and some anonymous voice says Fran Drescher's not doing the show.
So what happened though?
She didn't do the show.
Well, who did you put on in her place? I mean,
we
did you-
didn't. That's the thing. Yeah, I mean, 20 minutes. We're not the three magi, you know.
So
we can't make spin gold into yarn.
So Rosie kind of went and covered.
Rosie, you know, she's very she's not as spontaneous as Jay Leno, but she is spontaneous.
Mm-hmm. I guess it's that stand-up background.
He would read newspaper articles and do comedy extemporaneously about those articles.
So basically, you're saying but see that again, that kind of story, it's interesting for just a very little bit. It's interesting for just
you want to know the fallout? Maybe I think you're not speaking for your viewers, Tom. I really do. I don't think you're speaking.
Well, they're
I
actually,
think you
radio,
have a very
actually.
shallow view and a very, I'd say, selfish view of what you need from a story. That's a good story. And I'll tell you, the fallout of that event is there was chaos trying to get enough candy, because Rosie gives away candy, so she was out there, flailing in the wind, and we had to go and get, 4 more boxes of candy, because she gives out candy every segment. And when the guest is there, there's no candy given out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we were scrambling for more candy.
Okay, so I mean, but still, that's not.
That's a story. I mean, I came home and I told my wife, Kim, and she was really upset. She was upset for me.
But again, I mean, these are not. I guess maybe I am just not seeing this the way you guys are seeing it, since you're inside of it. I'm not inside of it. I'm just somebody who likes entertaining.
Were you raised in America? I mean, I don't mean to insult you.
Yes, I definitely was raised in
America.
America.
Grew up. I mean,
sure.
So we have comparable values. I don't know. I mean, do you like ER?
The television show? I like television shows.
Do you like ER?
I'm not particularly a big fan of it.
Well, I like ER. I mean, that's like ER.
Okay. I mean, I've never really watched it.
We're going to Porter's. Tom?
Okay.
I guess we're going to Porter's at 10.
Okay. Well, great. Well, thanks for calling. Can I just say goodnight to? I say goodnight to you, and I'll say goodnight to Brad.
Associate producer friend of ours from Ricky Lake.
Okay.
Has an inn at Porter's. He knows the bartender.
Okay.
And he makes a new drink every Monday, Tuesday night.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on the show, Danny. And can you just hand me back over to Brad?
I sure will. And this is in New Jersey.
It's in New York and New Jersey. Yes.
Well, I really think those were good stories. I mean, I think your viewers do.
Rosie wore that crazy sweatshirt.
Oh, there was a time when Rosie wore a crazy sweatshirt. It was they actually sewed into one of her sweatshirts a guitar that you could play, like a little miniature guitar.
Okay. And she went on and wore it on the show?
Uh-huh. And she played it.
But see, that's not a story as much as it's just that's just like an incident. It's it's like no different than me.
That's not a story. That's a story, Tom.
It's no different than me picking up, like I'm saying I have a...
that was my idea.
Like I have a soda in my hand. Like, remember the time I picked up the soda?
Go ahead.
No, but that's it, though. That's it for my story.
No, that's not... This is the Rosie O'Donnell show.
Okay, so anything that a celebrity does is fascinating inherently. It's inherent that if a celebrity does the most mundane thing, it's fascinating.
I don't know. I'm going to give you to Brad. I'm a little upset.
Well, I appreciate your time.
And I would just throw it out to your callers and your viewers, Tom, that if you don't share the same opinion as Tom Scharpling, I would love to hear it. You know, I would love to hear it. You can send it over to the Rosie Show or send it over to Brad.
Okay. Absolutely.
There's a volume 2 coming out. Am I not mistaken? Okay.
Well, thank you, Danny.
Okay, well, hang on a second.
Okay.
Nice to meet you, Tom.
It was nice to meet you. Thank you for your time.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah, hey, Brad. Thanks. Well,
Listen, if there's a call available, I know Billy Paltz, who you were on earlier, who was segment producer of the Craig Kilborn Show, would love to take a call.
Okay, well, there is a call coming in.
There is a call. I'm going to put Billy on right now. I know I've probably talked your ear off and the audience's ear off, so I'm going to put Billy on, and he can field any calls.
Okay, absolutely.
All right?
Okay.
Here he is. Tom.
Well, Billy, there is a call coming in. You want to take a call?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Okay, let me just.
Did you got the story about Rosie's sweatshirt?
Yes.
Hilarious.
WFMU, you're on the air.
Hi, can I talk to the other guy, please? The guy who works for Jay?
Oh, you want to talk to Brad?
Yeah.
Hold on 1 second.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, I just didn't want to waste my time talking to some guy who works for a Second Banana. I just want to tell you that...
I mean, Billy's...
Hey, I'm sure he's your friend. He's a great person, but I wanted to talk to you.
Well, it's just that I have a lot of opportunities. You know, you have opportunities to get different perspectives on different shows. You know, and Craig Kilborn is a definite up-and-comer, and there are actually talks with NBC that he could eventually replace Jay at some point.
Nobody can replace Jay.
Well, I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
But I just wanted to say that, I work for Music Express in Los Angeles, and I've driven Jay several times.
Oh, is that true? I know a lot of people at Music Express. Do you know Billy O'Donnell, who works in L.A.? He drives Jay right now.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I never drove him regularly, but I've driven him probably a dozen times, and usually he's on the phone discussing material. But and Jay is the most, he's one of the finest human beings. Well, anyway, I can't do him any type of significant justice because I think everybody knows what he is, and I'm not going to try to add to that. But anyway, more than once.
Well, I'm really happy to talk to somebody.
Oh, absolutely. But this is what I want to tell you. He's usually on the phone discussing material or making travel arrangements.
Well, of course.
Often he's in his own world, and you're just a piece of equipment driving the car.
Okay.
But more than I remember once, I think it was in June of last year.
Wait a minute. Are you going to hit me with a Jay Leno story right now? Because if you do, I may have to use it in my book.
All right. Okay. Well, hold on a second. We were talking about. I don't know. He dropped out of the whole show business frame of mind. Dropped the enormous. Frontal corporate facade that is the mantle of someone who carries so much weight in North America in terms of influence and entertainment value.
Right.
And he said, he was like, bang, it was like he was just like a normal guy all of a sudden. He said, so, how you doing today? And we started shooting the shit. And I
don't think you can say shit on the air necessarily.
Well,
I don't
you
know
can't
about
either.
that, Tom.
Okay. All right, I'm going to have to say good night, guys.
I guess that's it then, right?
That's it. Well, I appreciate you calling, Brad.
Well, no problem, and definitely look out for the book. I don't know when it's going to be out, but I definitely am putting finishing touches on it. Like I said, there's going to be more stories, so I don't know when I'm necessarily going to finish, but I'm definitely going to get what I have right now to a major publisher, probably Knopf.
Okay.
Very interested right now, and so when it does come out, I'll definitely call back on your show, tell some more stories, and always happy to be on your show, Tom.
Well, we look forward to it.
And maybe someday you'll be on the Jay Leno show.
Well, maybe. Hopefully I will someday.
All right, man.
Great. Well, thanks, Brad.
All right, man.
All right, you have a good night.
All right, bye, man.
Bye. Oh, sorry about that. My apologies. Oh, you're listening to WFMU East Orange, WXHD Mount Hope, worldwide on the internet at WFMU.org. Here is some music by a band called TNT, taken off the brand new Arf Arf El Cheapo 2 CD sampler put out by the people at Arf Arf. Here are TNT with the song Please Let Me Into Your Secrets.
decent cast and girl, but then you did something good. I close my eyes, I let it pass, and I pretend you're not surprised. But when it comes up the next time, has a porcelain face. Rubber legs and a porcelain face. Everybody has a porcelain face. Rubber legs and a porcelain face. Whoa. Everybody has a porcelain face. Rubber legs and a porcelain face. Rubber legs and a porcelain Be a dolly in a glass case. 7 legs and a porcelain
All right, everybody. You're listening to the best show on WFMU. Here until 11 o'clock tonight. At that point, we will turn it over to Small Change with Nickel and Dime Radio. At 11 p.m. And just so you know, tonight, Small Change has Thomas and Sean of the Free School Posse coming in the studio. They've been behind some of the best breakbeat parties around the city. So you can expect the best in W2-step, funky, house, and old-school hardcore rave anthems a la Mr. Kirk's Nightmare. That is at 11 o'clock tonight. Nickel and Dime Radio with Small Change. My name, though, Tom Scharpling, here till 11. The phone number, 201-200-9368. Let's quick back announce the music. The King Brothers from their self-titled album, giving us the song Dead Soul. On the In the Red label. Before that, Glass Candy and the Shattered Theater. A CD full of their demos. On a CDR, we heard Be a Dolly. Governor before that, checking in. From the 7-inch they put out on the Ouija label a bunch of years ago, called Baby's Way Cruel. And starting us off from the Arfarf, El Cheapo 2-CD sampler. On the Arfarf label, we heard TNT with Please Let Me Into Your Secrets. The phone number again, 201-200-9368. Email toms@wfmu.org. WFMU, you're on the air.
Hey, what's up, Tom? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Good, thanks. Just drove by Maxwell's and thinking back to a couple of weeks ago when there was a great show that would cheer down. Any chance we could play The Clap?
The Clap?
Yep.
I'll see what I can do. It's kind of late in the show. I don't know if I can get to
I had to
request,
figure.
but I'll try.
I figured that. You were only, one of those fair weather friends. That's what I heard of the band, but could be me.
I don't know what to make of this phone call.
One of those fair weather Cherry Valance fans.
Oh, you want to hear Cherry Valance again? The Clap.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well, we will
Thanks,
see
Tom.
about that. Thank you.
As usual, the best show.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Wow, what about those last guests, huh? That was nuts. And next week, we're having our Bands on the Run Super Spectacular. We're going to have on Dan Cutforth, who's a producer of the VH1 program Bands on the Run. He'll be our guest, as well as Beastie, the co-frontman from the band Soulcracker. Soulcracker, one of the 4 bands that competed on VH1's Battle of the Bands called Bands on the Run. So tune in next week on The Best Show on WFMU to hear our Bands on the Run Super Spectacular. Open phones, 201-200-9368. The email address, thomas@wfmu.org. Let's just check the email. Somebody's saying Brad Lester is a loser. Saying this guy is a loser. That's Larry out in Portland. Checking back in on the old computer. Jason checking in. Jason saying, does Brad Lester realize there's more to life than national TV and entertainment? No wonder The Tonight Show isn't funny. WFMU, you're on the air.
Hey, Tom, it's Mike Healy.
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
I'm good. Hey, I've called to make some requests in the past, and you've been great about playing them. I have a very, very special request tonight, okay?
Okay.
Well, I'm proud to tell you and all your listeners out there that my wife, Sheila, today gave birth to a wonderful little daughter.
Oh, my God.
Yep.
Seriously?
Emily Madison Healy.
That is fantastic.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. We were a little worried. It was about 2 months 2 weeks premature. And but things worked out.
But that's fantastic. So you had the baby today?
Yep.
Well, that is awesome. So you said 2 weeks premature. That's I guess that's still within the realm of a normal pregnant cycle, right? Like a 2 weeks early is not horrible.
Oh, really?
I'm asking you.
Well, it sounds like you know more than I do. Yeah, that's what we thought, but I guess you're the expert here.
No, I'm not an expert at all on this. I mean, I'm just trying to. That's something that I had understood.
Oh.
That I'm just.
Oh, from the books that you read.
Well, I really haven't read any books on it. It's just something I thought was like a fact about, like a pregnancy, or that like 2 weeks early is not the worst thing in the world.
Well, I had no idea that I was calling into the baby doctor.
I'm not a baby doctor.
Well, you could have fooled me with all your jargon that you're spewing out over there. Wow.
All I'm doing.
See, I was just going to call in and request that song "Baby." Yeah, Carla Thomas.
Okay.
And send that out to my wife and our daughter. But now, I don't know. I guess I should request "Doctor, Doctor" by Robert Palmer and send it out to you.
Well, I'm not a doctor at all.
Wow.
At all. I mean, I'm sorry if you misconstrued what I said.
I don't know. Maybe I should consult you on what kind of formula to feed Emily. Do you have like a website that I could access?
No, I don't know anything about. I'm sorry. I was just making a casual point in the conversation. You said that your daughter was born today, 2 weeks premature, and then all I said was that that's still like a 2 week premature birth is not out of the realm of normal pregnancy.
Well, Tom, I don't have your book in front of me here, but
what? I don't have a book.
You just speak as such an authority. I just thought that maybe you had, written a book or something about it.
About what? About babies?
Babies, I guess the thing that you seem to know most about.
I never claimed to know the most about it or to even know a lot about it.
Well, speaking of books, I wondered if I could get your opinion on Dr. Luther Reynolds' book on childhood depression.
I'm not familiar with it at all.
I just figured since you are essentially the baby doctor, and I wish you would actually bill your show as being the baby doctor show. I'm sure you could get a lot more listeners.
You're really taking this way too far.
What about teasing? What do you recommend?
I don't know anything about it. I'm sorry. I just look, I apologize. It was something that was just said that was not meant to be taken beyond just a casual comment.
Well, it's funny because I really didn't think that you had any kids, but it sounds like by the way you're throwing the terms around that you've got like a whole clan there.
I don't.
Yeah, I didn't think you did. That's what's so bizarre about the fact that you think you know all this. Or, I'm sorry, not think you know. You do know it. I mean, you're an authority. You're weighing in on all these things. It's pretty impressive.
I apologize if I tried to come off like an expert. I don't think I tried to come off like an expert, though.
Well, even if you're not trying, you're doing a great job. It's like I've been listening all night. I'm surprised you haven't gotten more calls about this.
Well, there's a call coming in.
Just about advice.
Hold on one second. WFMU, you're on the air.
Hi, my wife had a baby recently, and it's going to be like a year now, and the baby's still not sleeping through the night. I wonder if you had any advice for me?
No, I really don't.
What do you mean you don't? You just read me the third degree about how I'm a lousy parent.
Yeah, I was thinking this was the regular weekly baby care show, right?
No, it's not at all.
I mean, I was just tuning around the dial on my radio, and I heard you talking about the premature thing, so it just sounded like you knew what the deal was.
It sounds like he does to me, or he thinks he does.
I honestly don't. I never claimed to have any knowledge of childbirthing or anything associated. I was being polite.
Well, it's not a matter of claiming, but you sound, like the other gentleman said, you sound like such a natural expert that I thought maybe you could help me out with this problem.
Yeah, now what's the problem? Because, after he asked you this problem, I have a couple that I want to ask you about, too.
Who, asked the caller?
No, ask you about.
Yeah, I'm no expert. I'm calling you.
I know.
But you have a child, second caller. I don't have a child.
Well, you're the authority, though.
I never put myself forward to be an authority.
So in terms of potty training, I'm unsure. Some kids like to use the little, the tiny potties that they can go and they just dump that in the toilet. And there are some that actually like to go and actually use the big people's toilet. What do you recommend?
I don't recommend anything.
Well, now you're being all wishy-washy.
No, I'm not being wishy-washy at all.
Strong.
I mean, am I the only one? Hold on a second. Am I completely off base on this? 201-200-9368. I want just someone who heard this to just back me up on this. I mean, I was just being polite. I'm sorry. Look, congratulations on your child.
Well, thanks. Well, let me pick your brain some more, okay?
Why? Why are you doing this to me?
I'm just trying to get answers. I mean, I had no idea that you were the baby authority. So I'm just fortunate that I happened to call with this simple record request, and now I'm on the baby doctor hotline. So I'm thrilled by this. You don't think that 2 weeks premature is anything to worry about? You
said that it was a healthy birth, right?
Yeah, and then you weighed in and said that it's nothing to worry about. So I'm just thrilled to hear that because I've been getting mixed signals at the hospital. But granted, none of those doctors are actually experts on child care.
No, I didn't mean it that way. I was even almost asking it to you as a question.
Huh? Yeah, I didn't get that at all from your response. Your response just seemed like you were the man. You were baby man.
I'm not baby man.
No.
Oh, please, 201.
So getting back to the teething issue, what do you?
I can't help you with it.
Some people say to put a little alcohol, a little bourbon or something on the end of a towelette or something, and that kind of eases the pain of the tooth coming in.
I'm sure
but then there are others that say that that's not.
I'm sure that giving alcohol to a kid is not the right.
Oh no, okay. Well,
that doesn't sound like the right thing.
No,
to
I guess.
give.
Well, if someone asks me if I do that, I'll just say no. Dr. Scharpling said that.
No, I'm not a doctor. It's just you wouldn't want a child. Why would you want a baby to have alcohol like that?
Wait, I'm writing this down. Okay.
No, this is not. This is just.
And this is on what page of your book?
I don't have a book.
Well, you should have one. You're a fountain of knowledge on all things baby related.
Here's another call coming in. Hopefully, I can clear my name here. FMU, you're on the air.
Yeah, I called. I wanted to back you up, but then you said this outrageous statement about birth actually life beginning a few hours before conception. Is this true? Did you make that statement?
I did not make that statement.
I can't believe it. I just heard you say that.
I didn't say it.
I heard him.
I didn't say
heard
that.
My left ear, but I didn't hear it with my right ear, so that might have been the problem.
I think you need to get your ears cleaned.
I asked, what, are you the ear doctor?
No, I'm not an ear doctor either.
Oh,
wow.
Come on. I have faith in you.
Tom, you must really be making a bundle.
Why?
Baby doctor and ear, throat and nose? Jeez. What do you... Is this just like your spare hobby or something, being a DJ?
No.
I had no idea.
Look, this is how it happened. You said to me, your child was born today, and I said to you, congratulations.
Mm-hmm. I told you she was 2 weeks premature.
Yes, and I said to you, that is still within the normal range of like a normal pregnancy, right?
Very authoritative, yes.
I didn't mean it as an authoritative statement. I honestly, and I'm not a baby doctor. I am not an ear, nose, and throat doctor.
Well, You were doing the best impersonation of both of those that I've ever heard.
Well, I promise you that I'm not. WFMU, you're on the air. Back me up on this.
I will, Tom. The statement you made is actually correct.
What's that?
That 2 weeks prior is in the range of normal pregnancy or birthing time.
So my statement was correct then?
Yes.
And very impressive. I mean, you are an authority. I don't know why you're trying to downplay all this knowledge you've got.
I'm not. I don't have any.
If I was you, I would divide up your show. Play a little music. Have the bulk of it be just questions like this from listeners who need guidance with their babies. Maybe a little ear, nose, and throat advice, too.
I don't know anything about either.
Come on, man.
FMU, you're on the air.
Hi, how you doing, Tom?
Okay, did you hear what went down?
Oh, yeah.
Now, am I trying to come across as some kind of doctor?
Tom, that's Torquevort.
What? What?
That's a torchvort? What is that?
I have no idea. I
know what that is. That's one of those new electric pacifiers that I've been hearing about.
What's an electric pacifier?
I think that's what it is. What he said it was, a torchvort?
I have no idea.
I think it's a Swedish pacifier, and there's some strange electrical thing that it lights up and keeps the baby occupied. I'm surprised you don't know about this with all your knowledge of the subject.
But you mean it's an electric. I'm just trying to get around what this thing.
That's
you
what
said.
I've heard. I mean, I've been reading some of the baby magazines, and I'm assuming you subscribe to them.
I don't subscribe to them. No.
Okay.
Now, I mean. Are you getting one of these electric baby pacifiers?
I don't think so. No, they're kind of expensive, and that's another question I have for you. You know, we're in a single income family, Sheila and I, and geez, how do you guys make it work?
What do you mean? How do we make it
You
work?
and your wife, with all your kids.
Well, I really don't have kids right now.
I can't believe that.
Why?
Because you know everything.
I don't know everything. I don't know where you're getting this from. I never tried to put myself forth as an expert on this.
I mean, I don't know how anyone listening to this show could come to any other conclusion than that you are the new Dr. Spock.
I think you're completely off base.
We can't wait for your book, Tom.
Can I just say something to you?
Oh, sure.
Why are you on the day of your child's birth on the phone arguing with me for 20 minutes?
I'm trying to get the best care for my newborn that I can. So I'm talking to you, and like I said before, it's a total surprise, and I feel so blessed not only that we had the baby, but also that through a miracle, and that's how I see it. I'm now talking with the foremost authority on child care.
You are completely mistaken. WFMU, you're on the air.
A doctor? Doctor?
I'm not a doctor.
I'm having trouble sleeping.
I don't know anything about sleep. What do you mean you're having trouble sleeping?
Well, normally I basically sleep upside down.
When you say upside, what do you mean upside down?
It doesn't work.
When you say upside down, would you hang from the ceiling?
Well, actually, no. I hang from the wall. And that's all the blood rushes to my head. And I get woozy and I pass out for the night.
That doesn't sound like much of
But I used to have headaches that have gone away ever since then.
Doctor?
Since you yeah.
What happens?
Well, I'm not a doctor. Why did I say yes?
What happens if my baby gets headaches?
I don't know. I can't help either of you.
Or if she can't sleep.
I mean, I know a lot of people sing like a lullaby, or so you just talk to the kid.
Well, another concern I have is that my regular doctor, he might get mad that now that you're my new doctor.
I'm not your new doctor at all.
Well, I want you to be.
Well, I am not a doctor.
Well, see, that's the rub here, because I mean, if I just tuned into this show and heard you essentially laying down the doctor law like you're doing, I would think that I was listening to a hardcore medical show.
Well, I guarantee you this is not a medical show. We play music.
Huh.
WFMU, you're on the air.
Hi, Tom. How you doing?
All right, how are you?
Not too bad. I might be able to help you out here.
Okay.
I can probably suggest a person for the caller to check out. I mean, I know you. I've listened to you all the time. You're not an expert on babies and whatnot.
Thank you.
See, I didn't think he was either.
Well, check this guy out. It's on
he in
Anchor
Canada?
Press.
What's his name?
Tony Torgvort.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, is he in Canada?
No, he's not in Canada.
Okay. Is that where you're calling from?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
And that's an author?
Yeah, Tony Torgvort.
Okay. I mean, I guess that's the kind of thing you can probably search on...
What has he written?
I don't know. He hung up, caller. I guess you can probably search something like that on Amazon.com or like BarnesandNoble.com.
Well, that's the great thing about this whole conversation is now I know I never have to search anything again. All I have to do is call you.
No, you please do not call me by any stretch for any medical advice.
What about car seats? Is there a specific one that you would recommend?
No, I don't know. I don't know anything about it.
Huh. Really?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I find that hard to believe.
Well, you find it easy to believe that I don't know anything about this.
Huh.
You have taken one little shred and you're building this thing up. I don't know why are you even...
I want to learn.
You want to learn? Well, I'm telling you right now, I am not a doctor.
Well, then stop acting like one.
I'm not acting like a doctor at all.
You certainly are.
I am not acting like... If one person calls and says I'm acting like a doctor, if somebody listening, back me up. FMU, you're on the air.
Hi, I thought that since, Tom, that you're such an authority on babies that you can tell me what is a good age to take someone off the bottle?
I'm not an authority on babies by any stretch.
That was my next question.
Well, you were coming off on such as such an authority that I thought I'd
no. You're completely
very misleading, Tom.
I wasn't aware that you were. I listened to your show all the time. I never were aware how knowledgeable that you were about these things. I was greatly impressed.
You are completely mistaken on that. I have never for 1 second made a claim that I'm a doctor or a baby doctor. I guess as an obstetrician is a baby doctor.
Well, you're very humble. You don't like to, brag about it.
Yeah.
But I realized from listening today that you seem to know so much. I thought you could maybe help me.
Yeah, he knows so much, and he doesn't pause for a second to think that it might not be beneficial to just open the floodgates, and let all this misinformation come out.
I don't.
Like, who do you think you are?
All I am is just I was trying to be polite. That's all that they can. If I misspoke, I apologize. I am not a baby doctor. I never claimed to be an expert in any way. I didn't want you to think I was. I wasn't trying to deceive you into thinking I was a doctor.
You're so puffed up with all this. It's like you just want people to think of you in a certain way.
And what way is that?
Basically as a medical know-it-all.
No, you're the one saying that.
I'm never bringing my daughter to you.
Please don't.
Ever.
I hope you don't. I have never said for 1 second it's not something I'm even interested in. Impersonating a doctor.
Well, then stop trying to get business.
What business
am I? On your show.
Oh.
As a toddler expert. I mean, you make me sick.
I make you sick?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, look, congratulations on your child.
Oh, don't even mention her.
Why?
You're repulsive.
I can't compliment you on your child?
No, I don't even want you thinking about her, you pervert.
Why would you... What makes it perverted now?
Just don't even talk about her.
I'm sorry.
You tried to give me evil advice.
What evil advice did I give you?
About having her drink alcohol. I asked a simple question about teasing, and you told me to just give her alcohol.
That is absolutely not true.
Gosh.
No. Now you're completely
I'm
off
gonna
base.
call the FCC.
Now you're completely off base. I never for 1 second said for you to give your child alcohol.
Well, I'm taping the show, so I'll
you go back and
I'll
listen to the tape.
it back.
And when you listen to it back and you realize you're wrong, you owe me an apology.
I'll call your station manager and get the whole station shut down.
Oh, that's the spirit.
Yeah, enjoy it in the Bud Hut.
Whoa, what?
Enjoy your stay in the Bud Hut.
Why? What I'm going to get sent to jail now. That's
why wouldn't you? Trying to force a young girl to drink.
You are taking this so. How on the day of your child's birth can you be doing this? Why are you not with your wife?
Like I said before, I called in for a simple request, and then I start getting this erroneous information from you.
I have no idea why you're
about how to care for my dear newborn.
And congratulations on your newborn.
And you're trying to get me to poison her.
You misheard 100%. I said I don't think it's a good idea to have a child. Oh,
you don't even want me to have a child now?
No, I didn't want you to have a child.
Oh my God!
No, I said I didn't want you to have a child drink alcohol. I don't think that's a good idea.
You don't even have kids.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
So the idea of me saying that your kid should not drink alcohol is somehow I'm not qualified.
You're not qualified to say anything to me, sir. Geez, sir.
Why did you call for advice then?
I didn't call for advice. I called for a simple request, and you started giving me unsolicited advice.
No. Oh, no.
Wrong and evil advice.
That is not true.
It is true.
That is not true.
Well, I'm hoping that you're enjoying your very last broadcast.
201-200-9368. Come on, somebody with fresh ears who heard this whole thing.
I can just see the headlines tomorrow. Scharpling, baby murderer.
Hey, why?
That's being too extreme, I know, but you got to see my point.
I got to see your point.
Yeah.
Your point is just you're nuts. I mean I don't know how to say it. I'm sorry to say that.
I'm nuts about my little daughter, and I'm not going to let you touch her once ever. You're not going to lay one finger on her.
I hope I never do. Monster.
You're a monster.
I'm a monster. God have mercy on that child having to be raised with a nut like you.
How dare you insult me?
I've done nothing but be nice to you.
You got to be kidding me.
Oh, this is just criminal now what you're doing.
You are criminal. I'm going to call the police right now.
You know what I can say? What are you going to bring that tape down to them?
Yep.
Go for it. And you know what? If you're wrong at the beginning of that tape, you know what you do? You say that you hold your wrists out to them and you say, "Lock me up. I was wrong."
What about the part where you told me to spank her for an hour?
That now you're just hearing things.
No, I'm not.
We never discussed spanking at all. You would never spank a kid.
Oh, now you're telling me how to parent. See, make up your mind. Are you an expert or not? It's like
I'm not an expert.
Now you're telling me never to spank my child.
I'm not an expert. Am I going mad here? 201-200-9368. Come on, somebody normal. Don't I have any?
I am the normal.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you're abnormal.
You're the liar.
I'm the liar. Please,
Mr. Fake Doctor.
I'm not a fake doctor.
God, I'm lucky that guy didn't actually get some advice from you about how to care for his ear. You would have told him to pour gasoline in it.
No, that I would never tell. So you would never. First of all, why would you pour gasoline in your ear?
Exactly. That's something you would prescribe, though.
Oh, so I would write a prescription for that.
Probably. I wouldn't put that past you one bit.
Why are you not basking in the glory of childbirth tonight?
I did that already today.
Oh, what? You're sick of it already?
It's not really my thing, okay? I'm not even asking these questions for me. It's for my wife.
Oh, wow. You sound like an awesome father.
Thank you. Well, I'll do what I can, but, I have a life, too.
Oh, you are a grade A creep.
I'm great?
No, you are a grade...
I am great.
You are a grade
Hey,
A...
look, I guarantee I will be there for that child probably most of the time.
Oh, see, now you are now convicting yourself, showing yourself to be...
You're going to get convicted.
Of what?
Trying to get me to do horrible things to my daughter.
No. You are nuts. I cannot continue this conversation.
I wouldn't do those things, even if you made me.
You're weird now, and now you're creeping me out. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Me?
Yes.
Hey, I'm the one that's in the bar right now. Not you.
You're where, in a bar?
Yeah, just down the street from the hospital.
And why are you not in the hospital?
Well, this girl I like, she works here.
Oh, boy, nice work, Daddy.
Hey, I can do what I want.
Yeah, you certainly can. So
I will, too.
I'm sure you will. You know what? You're a creep.
Well, you know what they say? They say the kid doesn't actually remember stuff that happens in the first 15 years.
15 years?
I got that long to just kind of work it all out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's...
Sow those wild oats, as I like to say, and I do sow them.
And kids do remember things in the first 15 years, by the way.
Not what I've heard.
Well, it's completely true.
One of the guys at the bar here told me that.
So you're just taking advice from everybody. See, no, you are going to be a horrible parent, and God have mercy on your child.
You stay away from her.
Gladly.
All right, I got to go drink some more, okay?
Great. Congratulations
on
the...
I'll keep you posted, okay?
You do that.
All right, go die.
Oh, thanks. That's the spirit. Go die. What a weird show tonight. We had Brad Lester, the guy who works for The Tonight Show, just telling awful story after awful story. And a couple of his segment producer friends doing likewise. And then now I've got a baby, a guy accusing me of being a doctor, which I was not in any way trying to pass myself off as a doctor. Hey, why don't we get back to the music? Here's something by the Lost Kids on WFMU. And, one other call coming in. Hold on. FMU, you're on the air.
Hello, doctor?
I'm not a doctor.
I don't feel too good.
We go see a doctor.
Oh, I think I'm going to end it all.
Don't end it all.
I gotta.
Don't.
I got this big bathtub filled with Vaseline. I'm just going to dive right in.
Don't do that. That's not,
The Vaseline cost me a fortune. I can't turn back now.
Well, please don't do it. Contact somebody, someone in your family. Get some help.
Do you think I should contact the Vaseline hotline?
Yes. Try the Vaseline hotline.
You know what the number is?
I'm sure you can call 1-800-555-1212.
All right, if that's it, I probably could find it on the web, though.
Well, bully for you. So, hey, next week we're going to have on a couple guys from Bands on the Run, from the show Bands on the Run. We're going to have on the producer of the show, Dan Cutforth, and from the band Soul Cracker, the guy Beastie is going to be on. So that is exciting stuff you can look forward to. And here's something else. That is next week on the best show on WFMU. And you know what? I'm going to say goodnight to you right now. And you're listening to WFMU East Orange, WXHD Mount Hope worldwide on the World Wide Web at WFMU.org. And At 11 o'clock, it's Nickel and Dime Radio with Small Change. So you can look forward to that. So tune in next week for the Bands on the Run Super Spectacular, and I'm going to leave you with this record by the Lost Kids on WFMU. Okay, that was the Lost Kids, and once again, you're listening to WFMU East Orange, WXHD Mount Hope worldwide on WFMU.org. Stay tuned for Nickel and Dime Radio coming right up with Small Change, and next week, Bands on the Run, Super Spectacular Beastie from the band Soulcracker and show producer Dan Cutforth. Now, it's time for Small Change, and I say goodnight to you, and I will be back next week.